ratchet it up by
T-minus 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
The entire city on Mars are daunting, requiring millions of pounds of cargo flown from Earth, spread out over thousands of launches. We just broke our own record for the number of launches in a single year, and we're going to break it again next year.
Now, in the years to come, Starship is going to dwarf those figures as we bring it online and truly make life multiplanetary. But for now, anyway, as the clock counts down to today's flight test, why don't we get another status update from John?
We're just over 9 minutes from liftoff as the countdown clock clicks to 0. The teams, good news is, teams aren't working any significant issues on the launch vehicle right now.
Gabriel?
Propellant loading is continuing on both the Super Heavy and the ship stages. Most recently, we began loading lots
we're up here, just so you know.
into the header tanks on Starship.
Okay, cool.
On the graphic on the left side of the screen, you can see up in the nose of the second stage, what we call Starship, are those 2 header tanks for fuel and oxygen. Now that loading started at T-minus 24 minutes and will continue until approximately T-minus 5.5 minutes. Now Starship's second stage main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded for flight. The second stage propellant that we're loading on board is going to do the quick disconnect. It comes out on the arm that's located at the base of the stage from the tower. On the Super Heavy booster, propellant loading will continue until T-minus 3 minutes. We've also configured the pad for liftoff. A little earlier in the count, the hold downs, the booster hold downs were commanded to unlatch. That means once the rocket has sufficient thrust to overcome its weight, it'll lift off the pad. There's no need to command the hold downs to release the rocket. As we mentioned earlier also, the ignition sequence has been slightly modified from the last flight for a more efficient liftoff. As a reminder, we ignite the engines a few seconds before T0. We don't lift off exactly at T0, we lift off a few seconds later. A couple seconds. Finally, the SpaceX team continues to check in with the Coast Guard to ensure there are no boats in the safety perimeter before proceeding with launch out over the Gulf of Mexico. Now currently we're coming up T-minus 7 minutes, 10 seconds to the test flight of Starship. Propellant loading is continuing on both stages of Starship. We're waiting now for the completion of loading of the header tanks in the next few minutes. The first stage is also beginning pressurization for flight while we are continuing to load propellant into it. Again, booster propellant load will finish at approximately T-minus 3 minutes. At that stage, both first and second stages are fully loaded, and we'll have the 10 million pounds of liquid propellant on board the 2 stages of Starship. On the next few minutes, the guidance system will perform its final alignment. We get the automated flight termination system that'll arm, and the final TVC checkout will be performed. We may get a view looking up at the engines as we gimbal the 13 middle engines and check them out just before liftoff at about T-minus 90 seconds. If we need to hold, it would come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's the point in the countdown, where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization to complete. Or, as we're hearing right now, we're still working a few boats in the area that are headed south. The boats are heading south, but we are still planning to hold at T-minus 40 seconds if necessary.
I think that is the tracking plane, but I'm not sure.
Oh, really? Just amazing views of today's launch. There's nothing quite like a launch at basically sunrise. Sunrise, I think, was just about 10 or 15 minutes ago out at Starbase.
Yeah, these views are just incredible. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day to attempt a test flight here. Again, these are live views of Starship as it awaits its second integrated flight test. Our primary objective today is to get through stage separation. We really want to test out our attempt to perform hot staging, where we are going to ignite the engines on the second stage while some of the engines on the first stage are still lit. So essentially both stages will be making fire at the same time, and that will push the booster away from the ship. It'll separate the 2 stages. So that's the primary goal for today. We really hope to be able to test that out, but at the end of the day, all and any data that we can collect is going to be incredibly helpful and help inform future improvements and iterations of the vehicle.
Yeah, Kate, there are other other objectives for today too, assuming we get farther than stage separation. There's goals to test out how re-entry goes on the ship portion. If the booster survives stage separation, then it's going to try a boost back burn and hopefully a soft landing as a sort of dress rehearsal for what it would look like on land. So everything coming up to that big design change though of hot staging today.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, that booster, it will be attempting a water landing in the Gulf of Mexico. We don't intend to recover any of the hardware for either the ship or the booster today. But that booster, yeah, we want to try and demonstrate controlled ascent through most engine cutoff. We want to try to demonstrate that hot staging separation and boost back flip, trying to basically demonstrate controlled burn and entry and that soft water landing. And like you said, it will help inform when we attempt a land landing, but you know, we start in the water first.
Exactly.
Just like we did with the Falcon 9.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, just getting to hot staging though is going to be farther than we got on Flight 1. Flight 1, that was about as far as we got. We didn't have hot staging on that vehicle. So that's the first and foremost objective today. Get that far, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
So one thing that's a little cool about Starship, and it's different from Falcon 9, is we can actually hold a little bit longer if we needed to than we can on Falcon 9 missions. Once we get to T-minus 40 seconds, and if we did have it hold, depending on the reason for the hold, we can hold for up to 30 minutes. And today, actually, our entire launch window is about 20 minutes, so the whole duration would cover most of our launch window.
Yeah.
So that's different from Falcon.
Yeah, absolutely. With Falcon, we have to go exactly at T0. That 40-second hold is super helpful. If we need to, for example, you know, we need more time to pressurize the COPVs for flight levels. You know, perhaps
The engineers just need to look at some of the data, see how engines are performing, the avionics.
Exactly, those checkouts, you know, being able to have the opportunity to top off the fuel or LOX if it's not fully loaded, and you know, we might want to just take a few more minutes for that. So that T-minus 40-second hold can be really helpful, but you know,
Clock is showing T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes.
We're just inside T-minus 2 minutes and counting. Good news right now, we're hearing it doesn't look like we're going to need to hold a T-minus 40 seconds as the boats are clearing out of the way. Next event coming up, TVC Wiggles, as we move the center engines on the first stage. Maybe just a little bit there. 90 seconds, Wiggles are underway as we're checking out the first stage. PVC checks are complete. Next major event we're going to hear, hopefully, is the flight director go for launch at T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
As we're coming up on T-minus 1 minute, when we get to T-minus 40 seconds, we'll just listen in. Last time, as you recall, we did hold at 40 seconds. It took a few seconds for the clock to recover, so we're going to watch that. As we press to T0, we're going to watch and listen to the second test flight of Starship.
You didn't know what's over here. Come on, baby.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Come on, baby.
There was some lag.
Light this motherfucker.
Remember the Alamo. Go time.
Back at Hawthorne, we're at T-minus 40 seconds in holding. We've had a rapid recycle. We've not heard anything over the countdown net as the two marks both first and second stages. We're going to monitor the nets here for a minute.
Everything is normal.
Got a little bit of an update. We're continuing to hold at T-minus 40 seconds. This is the normal hold point for Starship, as we talked earlier. Sounds like we're working just late pressurization on, I believe, the second stage. Team is working it. All the other systems are on hold right now at 40 seconds. We can hold here for about 15 minutes or so before we would run out of window for this morning.
Hold right now.
So right now they're working on filling pressure vessels. And ideally we'll be able to solve this and come back and release the clock at T-minus 40 seconds. We're going to continue to listen and monitor for another few minutes.
Holding.
And it's worth mentioning here that don't go away. We are holding at T-minus 40 seconds, but once the teams have resolved and see the data that they want to see, the clock can restart straight away and it'll start ticking down from T-minus 40 again, all towards liftoff.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while we do have the ability to hold for up to 30 minutes, we only have a 20-minute launch window, so don't go away, don't change the channel, and just like Shiva said, we can restart that clock, and there it is.
And there it goes.
And a reminder, everybody, it's going to be less than 40 seconds. We are listening to a delayed audio. It could go at any moment.
Let's go. Let's go. Fire, baby. Here we go. There's Deluge. Oh, yes! Let's go! Yes!
Seconds.
Yes!
All engines still looking good. 2 minutes and 5 seconds. 41 kilometers high. 3,800 kilometers an hour.
Dude, come on, right?
Engine power continues to look nominal on 33 Raptor engines. We're about to shut down the first stage and perform staging. Let's watch and listen.
Come on, baby, come on!
2 minutes, 30 seconds. 61 kilometers high. 5,300 kilometers an hour.
Two lights.
We have 2 objects up there. We have 3 engines on the booster 72 kilometers high, 55, 67 kilometers an hour. Second ring of booster engines have relit. 70, 80 kilometers high, 5,300 kilometers an hour. All Starship engines are burning, 88 kilometers high, 6,100 kilometers an hour. T plus 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Starship, all engines running, 100 kilometers high, 6,900 kilometers an hour.
Staging was going to be incredibly dynamic. We knew that there was a chance that the booster would not survive. We're going to take that data and figure out how we can make the booster better for the next hot stage.
T plus 4 minutes, 117 kilometers high, 7,500 kilometers an hour for Starship.
And it's doing great. Right now, the ship, the second stage, is on its way. Like we said, you can see all 6 of its engines are ignited. The next major milestone for the ship will be the shutdown of those engines, or SECO. Second engine cutoff.
130 kilometers high, 8,600 kilometers an hour, 4 minutes and 40 seconds.
So far, today has been incredibly successful, even with the rud of the super heavy booster. This is amazing.
Primary objective of the booster today to get to hot staging, to get ship on its way to orbit. It did that admirably.
Yeah, we definitely have.
T plus 5 minutes, altitude 138 kilometers, 9,700 kilometers an hour.
Once again, wow. Stage, firing those engines, and as you just heard, everything's looking good. Now, for the ship, we wanted it to survive hot staging, which, as you can see there by that little dot on your screen, it did. We also wanted to basically demonstrate that the successful startup of those engines, demonstrating controlled ascent, which is what it's doing right now, and eventually orbital insertion.
T plus 5 minutes, 30 seconds, 11,000 kilometers an hour. We're getting up there, 145 kilometers altitude.
Pacific Ocean, a couple hundred miles north of Hawaii. Now, if we get that far, like, all of that sounds great. Secondary objectives for ship, again, continuing to gather engine data and about its health performance.
T plus 6 minutes, 148 kilometers, 900 kilometers an hour, 13,000 kilometers an hour.
Basically, the propellant pressures in the ship are looking good.
Yeah, the bottom right corner of your screen, you can see essentially a user interface showing us which engines are lit. So the 3 center sea-level rocket engines on ship are gimbaling engines. The 3 outer engines in the triangle, the larger ones, are vacuum engines. All of them continuing to fire nominally at the pressures that we expect to try and get into our target trajectory today. And we're not targeting orbit today. We're targeting almost orbit today. That's very intentional as part of the mission design. The goal is to get to a thrust profile similar to what we need for orbit, but also to get to the energy level.
17,000 kilometers an hour, 149 kilometers up, 7 minutes in flight.
Actually going in a suborbital trajectory today, but that trajectory will get us to the energy levels that we need at re-entry, where we can really stress that heat shield and get valuable data on re-entry. And those calls that we are still on a nominal trajectory here.
19,000 kilometers an hour, 148 kilometers up, 17 minutes, 30 seconds in flight. 7 minutes, 30 seconds in flight.
We would be at a time where it would be getting ready to land, performing its re-entry, but it unfortunately did not survive. That being said, that's okay. It survived several seconds after the hot staging, so we're going to take that data and improve the hot staging sequence. And
Coming up on 8 minutes, 23,000 kilometers an hour, maintaining altitude at 148 kilometers. Engine shut down, 24,124 kilometers an hour, 148 kilometers altitude, 8 minutes and 13 seconds at Seco.
Well, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here with you.
They're standing by for call here. Coming up on the projected time that ship would shut down its engines.
Vincent! Hello? Vincent?
Yeah, so what's it doing?
Kim!
super exciting. What a successful day this has been so far.